Hey, there's Snipers227 here, and just want to make this quick video for those you that are testing the EnviroFlow level editor. I'm just going to give you a walkthrough of how things work and basic controls and features, so you're not lost. So basically, you can see that we have four, well, not three folders here. This folder contains all the preloaded assets, which you will need to know. This one contains shaders, which is not fully implemented, so you also won't know, but this one contains textures. You could either paste your textures in here, or make a folder and paste them in there, like I did here. Note, do not delete that list.plt file. And you'll notice you have your exe, you have your DLL for glue, for OpenGL, and then you have the recent config and the config INI. The only thing you really need to know about is a config INI. So if we open it up, you'd see that it has basically values for camera configurations, the general configurations, and movement configurations. Right now you should not touch general configurations. You should only be messing around with the movement and the camera. So you can see the variables over here. There's f speed, and there's a set of other m variables, and then there's regular f speed and regular set of variables. What this is m stands for mouse, so the controls work with your mouse, so you could rotate the camera, zoom in and out with your mouse, or you could use the WASD to strafe left and right, move forward, backwards, and then the arrow keys, so the left, right, up, down, to rotate the camera angle. And that's what this is. So if you want to use the mouse and you're trying to tweak the settings because it's too fast or slow, then tweak these ones. But if you're using the WASD and arrow keys, tweak these settings. And the movement configurations are for moving objects. Basically, when you're translating, say you make a cube and you want to move it and you want to translate it, all you do is click on it and you move it. And this is the speed of how fast the object moves, so it's going to vary depending on the computer and the speed. But yeah, so let's open it up. Over here you'll be greeted by a welcome screen. If you're in dev mode, then you don't really need to do any of these. So you can just click dev mode and it'll bring you here. And you could already see that this is my WASD and my arrow keys controls are a little fast compared to the mouse, which is a decent amount. For the mouse, to zoom in and out, obviously you could use the middle mouse or scroll. If you don't have that, then W and S work fine. For your keyboard, this is A, this is D, so strafe. For your arrow keys, it's basically rotating the camera left and right, so pretty simple. And going back to the mouse, if you have a scroll bar, the middle button, you could click it down to the middle mouse, and then say you wanted to go to the left, you'd that's the right, you'd click and move to the left. So you'd click and move to the opposite side of what you want to go. So if you want to go down, you'd push it, push the middle scroll bar down and move down to go up. As you can see, it's kind of buggy right now, the mouse one, as you can see. So that's why I like using WASD. But some still prefer the mouse, I don't know. It's up to you. Now you'll see we're greeted by 6 windows. Got the render window, which we obviously know what that does. Renders everything. We got the texture window. We got create primitive window, object list window, and asset utility. And then we got this blank one, which hasn't been implemented fully yet. Basically, the texture window is self-explanatory. It's used to texture objects. Create primitives, used to create primitives, obviously. So right now, textures are only implemented on the floor. just because I haven't had time to configure it for the box or anything. So if you want to create the floor, you just hit the size is the most important. You can't leave that blank, and you can't leave this blank, or else you'll run into an error. And you could leave the name blank and the position, rotation, unless you want to fill it in. And you just hit create, and you can see we got a little floor here with the texture saying default floor. Now if I wanted to change that, you could also notice that it shows up in the object list. This is basically every time you create an object, it's going to be used here. So when you're selecting or basically trying to transform the object or apply any changes to the object, you would click on the object here and do it, or else it's going to give you an error. However, this does not apply for textures. Textures, you don't have to click on it to do it. You just have to hit refresh, and your object will automatically be there. So going back here, yeah, say I wanted to, I'll just change the texture. So I'll show you, I'm going to refresh, hit mesh 1. Now I could load an external file, or I could load one of the textures I had over here. So let's see, if I wanted to put the orange dove texture, I could put that. The purple one, I could put that. Red, I could put that. And then in my outdoor textures, I have asphalt, and I have a shitty grass texture somewhere here. Yep. So yeah, you can see texturing works like that. And then now moving on to transformations. If you right click, you'll also see there's a different views. So you could take the grid off. You could view the vertices of the object. So there's wireframe mode, as you can see. Then there's solid mode, so without textures. There's textured mode. And what are the views? Scenes. Oh yeah, so you wanted to only see, let's say, your walls and your ceilings, terrain, or meshes, and you didn't want to see floor, you just deselect that and it'll disappear. And I'll go into those later. So far we only have floors and meshes, we don't have terrains, walls, or ceilings. So the only two options you could choose in here are the box and the floor. The wall hasn't been fully implemented yet, so it might crash. So let's get started with transformation. So we have translate, X, Y, and Z. So like I said, choose your object first or else it'll crash. So you want to translate on the X, you click it, and then you move it that way. So this is also a bug. You can see how we have our Y line, we have our X line, we have our Z line that sort of don't have color anymore. I don't know why. They did before, but basically if you want to move it there, you move it to wherever you want, but if you turn it around, it won't have the same effect, obviously. So try and keep it like this. It's important if you're changing, so say you want to translate on the Y now, you'd have to deselect this first and then click Y, and then you could move it up and down. So that would be the movement configuration, so the speed that it moves up and down in your config INI, the one I was showing you. So you could tweak that if it's moving too fast or too slow for you. And there's also scale. Also, if you don't like this, if you don't like using that, you could also use the plus and minus keys on your number pad keyboard to move it. So in scaling, there's rotation scaling, so you guys know what that does. But in scaling and rotation, I haven't implemented the mouse yet, so you have to use a plus and minus key, as you can see. Minus to make it smaller, plus to make it bigger. And then again, deselect it when you want to do something else. What else can I show you? There is texture, duplicate, which is buggy. There's delete, which is also buggy. Oh yeah, I want to show you the asset to utility and the custom object loading. So just find a couple of models. So right now the map editor supports, these are all non-textured and non-normal files, so when you export it, make sure you deselect textures and normals. It supports .object, .ace, .dae, 1, 2, 3, trying to think, .ply. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I'll just look at my code, that'll be easier. So we have object, we have .ace, we have .dae, .ply, and .fbx, but fbx doesn't work that well. So to import a file, like I said, I'll use the object file as an example. You don't want textures or, actually one sec. Yeah, you don't want textures or normals, you just want the vertices straight up for all of them, so this might crash. Yeah, well, let me just go back because I was testing out the texture. So textures for files will be implemented soon. As you can see, I was testing that out, so, but it's not ready yet, so I haven't put it in. So like I said, you just drag it. Son of a bitch. This is embarrassing, isn't it? Oh, that's why. Okay. So this is for the import. So this is load text file. I'll tell you why in a sec. There we go. So you notice how there's two different ones. Basically because you could either import it by dragging it simply on the screen, like I did, or you could import it from here. So that's why I was crashing, because I only changed the menu import. So now it will work. There we go. So you could drag and drop or use, like I said, that, import it. We also have exporting of the object file right now, so you could export this back into an object file if you wanted. Yep, so you could load that, you could load different file formats. And let's say I used for Worldcraft users, these are called prefabs, if you remember those, but basically I call them preloaded assets, or the asset utility. And what it is basically, so you use a certain object or a certain model file in your maps frequently. Like say I use the scar-l a lot, and instead of finding the file, dragging it every single time, you could just add it to your asset utility by simply clicking on the object, go to assets, add asset to utility. I'm going to select scar-l, name it, give it a nickname for this, name it scar-l, and it's added in there. So now every time you boot up your map editor, it's there, and to use it, you just click on the object, you go to assets and add to scene, and fuck me, that's the wrong one. Alright, so there's a common bug. I guess since there are two objects, it only added the first object, so I'm going to have to look into that bug. But add asset to utility, scar-l, scar2, and every time you boot it up, add asset to scene, and there we have our scar. Yep, so I already found a bug, so I'll fix that for the next build. But yep, that's mostly it. You could also obviously save. We do have an issue with the save, so when you save it, you have to put the extension, so test.rmd. And another thing is you have to put it in the same folder as an exe, so you have to save it in the same folder as the exe. So mine's over here, so you save it there. So when you open it, it'll only open the map files within the same folder as the exe. So yeah, you can see how it opened it up, added the other scar. And yep, I think that's about it. So my name is Snipers237. I hope you enjoyed testing it out. Love to get feedback and bugs, obviously. There's a lot of bugs, so I mean, there's no failsafe, so you have to kind of remember to click these every time, or else it's going to crash, and sometimes it may crash. Please log it for me, and then let me know. And thank you for testing the EnviroFlow map editor out.